My name is Mike Seitz, President of the Greater LaPorte Chamber of Commerce and a member of the LaPorte Political Action Committee. We are co-sponsored tonight event with Farm Bureau Association. On behalf of the LaPorte Political Action Committee and the Farm Bureau, I'd like to welcome you here tonight. LPAC was formed in the year 2006 by a group of LaPorte business people with a mission to educate on a nonpartisan basis members of the business and voting community on the qualifications for the positions for the candidates running for election. We are a registered political action committee with the state of Indiana. We do not endorse candidates, but provide you, the voter, with information to make an informed decision when you decide to vote, and we encourage each and every one of you to vote. Tonight's forum is also being sponsored by the LaPorte Herald-Argus, again, the LaPorte Farm Bureau, radio station WCOE, WLOL, so we welcome their sponsorships. On the table at the entrance are the printed questionnaires. Please each one take those that have been submitted by the candidates ahead of time and with their answers to the political questions that were developed by LPAC committee and sent out to the candidates on September 3rd with responses back on September 22nd. We are providing blank cards to write questions for the candidates, which will be collected before the end of the program. So if you have any questions, please get blank cards. Just hold your hand up and ask for a blank card, and members of our Political Action Committee will get those blank cards to you. I would like to thank the LPAC Committee, Jack Arnett, Mike Arnett, Jay Pauser, Dennis Seidel, John Pappas, Harold Parker, and Bill Hackney for their participation, and also to our fantastic timekeeper, Rita Rosinski. Thank you, Rita. With that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our monitor tonight, Bill Hackney, the publisher of the Herald-Argus.
Thanks, Mike. We're going to start with the format. I'll go through the format. We're going to ask each candidate to give a 2-minute bio introduction, and then we'll ask the questions, 2 questions each, giving them a 1-minute chance to respond, and then we'll give them a 2-minute close. And Rita will keep us on the track. So with that, what I'd like to do is start with sheriff's candidates. We have 2 of them here. I would like to give Jamie Ott an opportunity to say a few words in why Al's not here.
Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jamie Ott. My husband is Al Ott. He's your Democratic candidate for the LaPorte County Sheriff's race. Unfortunately, Al cannot be here tonight. He made a commitment earlier in the year to the LaPorte Educational Development Foundation. Tonight they are having their community-wide kickoff for drug prevention. Al was asked to play for the LaPorte Legends, who will take on the Harlem Ambassadors tonight at LaPorte High School. Al would also like to let you know that if you have any further questions in regards to the answers that he submitted to the questions to LPAC, or any other concerns you have regarding the sheriff's race, that you can contact him through his website at alottforsheriff.com, or you can feel free to call our home number. We are in the phone book. Al does apologize for being unable to attend this event. However, he does take all his commitments very seriously, especially when it comes to education and drug prevention. So thank you for allowing me to speak on his behalf, and I hope everybody has a great night.
Thanks, Jamie. With that, we'll get started with the bios. Steve, if you would, we'll start with you.
Good evening, my name is Steve Osborn. I'm the third-party candidate for Sheriff of LaPorte County on the Libertarian Party. And I want to express my appreciation to the groups that have put this together, LPAC and others, for the opportunity to be here and address you, and the opportunity to get answers to some very good questions that they put forward to us. I am a longtime resident of LaPorte County. I've been here 50 years, although I'm 60 years old. We moved here when I was about 9 months old, and I spent about 10 years away in my career, picking up some very valuable experience, as the case would be, in management of the technical end of the wireless industry from several different companies. I have a lot of experience in managing men, equipment, various states, various cities, major cities, and rural areas. You see these towers sometimes out in the middle of cornfields. I'm out there a lot of times working on equipment there, and in mobile telephone switch offices and things of that nature. It's been a very rewarding career. I've had a lot of experience giving testimony to either written or oral to different agencies, and a lot of administrative experience. The Office of Sheriff is very administrative in nature, not so much law enforcement, and I have a lot of the experience necessary to handle this job, besides also having started my work career in the Sheriff's Department when the dispatchers were part of the Sheriff's Department. We were actually deputies in the department, and I got about 5 years experience there, which was very rewarding. Very long time. In fact, every once in a while I still have a dream that I'm late for work and there at the dispatch council, so it never really gets out of your blood. And I am supportive of our law enforcement officers and agencies, and I am concerned about some things that I would call the handwriting on the wall, and that's some of the reasons why I'm running for sheriff. And I appreciate any questions that you might have. Glad to answer them during the meeting or afterwards. And I appreciate your time and your being here, and I hope to get your support. Thank you.
John?
Good evening. Thank you for hosting this great forum tonight. I'm very pleased with the turnout that's here tonight. My name is John Boyd, and I am the Republican candidate for LaPorte County Sheriff. And my journey started back in 1976 when I was in 4th grade, and I've been building my resume for something that I've wanted to do nearly my entire life, my younger years and my professional life. All I wanted to do is not only be a police officer, but I wanted to work for the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office, and I wanted to be Sheriff of LaPorte County. And to that end, I've been building my resume, getting as much experience as I could to prepare myself for this moment. While I have wanted to be sheriff for so long, I never felt as though the time was right, because I lacked the experience, I lacked the time in the position, and I didn't feel that it was right for me, it wasn't right for the department. But it does feel right, and I'm prepared to take on this challenge. Currently, I'm major at the Sheriff's Office, and for those of you that aren't familiar with the rank structure of the Sheriff's Office, that's third in command. Before I became major at the Sheriff's Office, I held the rank of captain. I was promoted to the rank of major about 2 years ago. While I was captain, I was chief of detectives. Prior to that, I was a detective sergeant. I've served as a squad sergeant within the Sheriff's Office, and I also instituted the DARE program in our county schools. I've worked in our schools, 17 schools throughout LaPorte County and western St. Joseph County for 1/5 of my career, the 5 most rewarding years of my career. Prior to that, I was a deputy patrolman with the Sheriff's Office. When I graduated from Purdue University after getting my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, I was hired by the LaPorte Police Department, and I knew that I wanted to work for the Sheriff's Office, but there weren't any positions open when I graduated from college. In 1990, Ken Layton took a chance on me, a young, up-and-coming individual, a police officer, and he hired me. And he took a chance on me, and I'm forever grateful for that. My line of work right now is major at the Sheriff's Office. I oversee all of our employees. We have approximately 170 employees at the LaPorte County Sheriff's Office, and we have an $8.4 million budget that is my responsibility as well. It's a huge responsibility. That's your tax dollars that I'm responsible for. And I'll take my administrative knowledge that I have, my experience, and that will lend well to the Office of Sheriff. I won't have to have a learning curve. I won't have to learn how to administrate, because for the past 14 years, that's exactly what I've done. I've commanded. And I've taken that experience and I've prepared myself to become sheriff. I'm very honored that last week I was endorsed by a group of 11 current and former chiefs of police throughout LaPorte County, and I'm also pleased that I've been endorsed by the LaPorte County Patriots as well. I look forward to serving you as sheriff, and thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. first question. What are the 3 issues facing the department and how will you address them?
Well, I think the 3 major issues, and I drive that through my experience in talking with tens of thousands of people during the course of this campaign. First and foremost is the heroin issue that we have here in LaPorte County. It needs to be addressed, but law enforcement simply can't do it alone. We need to engage the public. We need to get them involved. We need to have them as stakeholders in this problem. We also need to call on social service organizations throughout LaPorte County. The sheriff needs to lead the charge, get the public involved. He needs to get the social service organizations involved, healthcare, the 2 hospitals here in LaPorte County, but also faith-based organizations as well. And we need to approach this as a community problem, not just a law enforcement problem. But we need to treat it regionally as well. We need to get regional law enforcement and other regional entities involved, because it's not just a LaPorte County problem, it's a Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland problem as well, because that's where our heroin is coming from. Second of all, I think a major issue here in LaPorte County is safe schools. And I say that for my 5 years that I've spent in our county schools and the fact that I continue to do safe school training. But I also have 2 children that are in our LaPorte County schools, specifically in the New Prairie schools. That's an issue as well.
Thank you. Steve, the same question.
There's a growing problem across the nation of police militarization, and worse than that is abuse of it. And I see that as the handwriting on the wall. It's growing in the communities that never thought they'd have that kind of problem. We're starting to see that here just a bit with the acquisition of an MRAP in Michigan City, and we need civilian control of these things because that has always been, in this nation, our way of handling the military. Police departments are becoming more paramilitary, and it is time to be sure that we have more control than just 4 years at the ballot box. That kind of control doesn't work for things like this anymore. Also, illegal immigration has been a problem. Indiana laws are very few about that, but I intend on enforcing those as best we can to help with that problem. My time up?
Yep.
Okay.
Close enough. Good. Steve, we'll start with you with the second question. Do you plan on implementing any new concepts, ideas to address the drug problem within the county?
Well, yes, I have a couple of ideas. One that was brought to me early when I became a candidate was to investigate the possibilities of a police athletic league. Gives kids in the police department members chances to get together and to participate in sports, which can be very beneficial to them and a relationship. The other thing is that the kids are tempted with thrown at them a lot with other things than just drugs. And I think if we can build a relationship with them in the schools to stay away from some of these things that corporations put out there for us to that they can addict us to, that if we can teach them to stay away from some of those things or use them in moderation, that's going to have an effect later on as they get temptations of drug use.
I think the first key to it is to admit that we have a problem, and we do have a problem here in LaPorte County. I think we all can agree that we have a heroin epidemic. And when we come to that realization, what we need to do is we need to rally the community behind their law enforcement. We need to work collaboratively with law enforcement regionally, not just here in LaPorte County, so we can combat this issue. But we need to use not only aggressive enforcement, we need to use education as well. We need to take a multi-spear approach towards the drug problem here in LaPorte County. I'm a proponent of education. We need to start at a very young age because I'm a former DARE officer and I know how effective that it was. And not only the education, but the fact that it puts police officers in a different light. We need to reach out, the sheriff needs to reach out to faith-based organizations, healthcare, and other civic organizations as well. That's something that we just haven't done in the past. We've tried to go it alone with law enforcement in LaPorte County, and it just hasn't gotten the job done. So it's time that we switch gears and use something that can be more effective, and we can use some program evaluators, and we need to treat this regionally with other law enforcement.
Thank you. And now for the close, Steve, we'll start with you. If you would, give a 2-minute close.
Okay. First of all, with my experience in communications, I've been noticing for months that the department has had some radio system issues, which when I was there, I helped to solve a very big problem there. In fact, the solutions I brought in are somewhat still in use today. But there's problems again, and they seem to have been going on for months. So I happen to be able to bring this up with a couple of people in the sheriff's department that are decision makers. First one was the sheriff, and I promised him that if he'd like my help, I wouldn't bring it up as a political issue. I'd be glad to help out like I did before to get it resolved, and that was back in July, and still haven't heard anything. And I brought it up with another individual who has direct control over that, so still have not been given the opportunity to assist them. I think that my suspicion is that we're throwing money at a problem that is not going to resolve it. So I'd like to use my expertise in that a little bit. So I decided to author a report that I could put into the hands of the person that is directly responsible for the use of the radios. About a week and a half ago, I heard a police officer dispatch go out that the police officer had to have the homeowner call into the dispatch center because he couldn't get in on his radio. And these things have been going on for months, so I pledge to you that regardless of how the election comes out, in fact, before the election, I will put my report in the hands of the person who's directly responsible for that. So Major Boyd, there you are. And I have tried to research the problem. I found some problems with the FCC's database that may have permitted another licensee to come onto the county channel that didn't know that the county was there. So I've also alerted the FCC that they have a nationwide problem with their database, not showing up some of these mobile frequencies and causing problems like this. So I'm good at research, I'm good at finding problems. Things are becoming much more technical now, and I have the expertise to handle these things, and I look for your vote on November 4th. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. John, if you would, you have a close?
Thank you, Steve, for this information. I'll be happy to use it January 1st. We have a lot of issues here in LaPorte County. We have a lot of issues in our neighborhoods. We have a lot of quality of life issues. And it's going to take strong leadership to help us overcome this. It's going to take strong leadership to rally the public around us and work with us and unite with us. It's going to take strong leadership to build trust within local county government and within the sheriff's office and within your law enforcement, and I'm prepared to do that. That's what I've been doing my entire career. I take pride in the fact that I'm a public information officer, and not a week goes by that I'm not out in our communities rallying support and telling the communities how we're spending their money, some of the programs that we have that can help them and benefit them, help to save lives. That's something that we need to build on and do more of. This is a very, very important election for so many reasons here in LaPorte County. I ask you to do your research of your candidates that are running for office. And I admire each and every one of the candidates that are sitting out here tonight, and Steve as well, because it's not easy running for political office. Instead of talking about it, we hope to be part of the change. We're doing something about it. And that's what I'm going to ask the public to do as well, is to do something about it. Anybody can talk about it. We can turn on the radio and we can hear people talking about the issues that we have, but when are we going to start doing something about it? We need leadership that's going to rally the citizens, that's going to take control, and that people are going to look to and respect. I've been building my entire career for this moment. I've been getting as much experience as I could so I could take over as sheriff. And I ask that you put your trust in me. There have been 11 chiefs of police throughout LaPorte County that have put their trust in me and have come out and endorsed me. And I'm proud of that fact. That's not something that was easily attained. I worked very hard at that throughout the course of my career. I'm prepared to take on the challenges that 2015 and the future bring us. We need to think forward instead of backwards. And I'm tired of the adage in law enforcement that that's always the way we've done it. Well, that's not good enough anymore, because what has that gotten us up to this point? I ask that you do your research. I ask that you look at the candidates. I ask that you look at their experience and what they bring to the table. I ask that you look at the passion that they have for the job.
Thank you, John.
And I appreciate your time. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.